It's Friday, the 15th of November 2024. Let's take a look at the headlines making waves in Nigerian dailies of today. Let's begin with the Punch. The border headline says, Ondo poll, military, policemen boundaries, IG orders lockdown. You can turn to page 2 of the paper for the complete story. And above the nameplate, Tinubu may present 47 trillion naira 2025 budget to National Assembly today. You can turn to page 19 of the paper for the complete story. And beside that, on page 19, North epileptic power persists as TCN battles tower repairs. Beside the nameplate, federal government proposes fresh 82.2 billion naira external borrowing. And below that, fuel import hasn't stopped, says NNPCL. Can turn to page 26 of the paper for the complete story. Below the picture, IOM releases £668,000 for flood relief in Nigeria. The full story is found on page 22 of the paper. And beside that, on page 4, 4 Kogi Varsity lecturers dismissed for sexual misconduct. UBA to raise 239 billion naira via rights issue. Can turn to page 21 of the paper for the complete story. Away from that, let's take a look at Daily Trust, where the border headline says, Federal government proposes 47.9 trillion naira budget for 2025. Can turn to page 3 for the complete story. Beside the picture, Nigeria eyes $57.4 billion crude revenue as NNPC surpasses 1.8 million naira barrel per day. You can turn to page 16 of the paper for the complete story. Below that, on page 6, UBA to raise 239.4 billion naira through rights issue. And coalition condemns arrest of women for criticizing banditry in Sokoto. Below the picture, concerns over cash squeeze in state despite increased CBN supply. You can turn to page 4 to get the complete story. Let's take a look at The Guardian. The border headline says, Oil-backed loans, OPEC quotas threaten federal government's 47.9 trillion naira budget plan. Can turn to page 6 to get the complete story. And beside the picture, NCC restricts mobile network operators to 7 tariff plans from 369. And below that, oil production to hit 2 million BPD in 2 months, NNPCL says. Can turn to page 3 of the paper for the complete story. And below the picture, on Ondo Guber election, systemic distrust, voter apathy, economic hardship may mar poll. Can turn to the news analysis page 4 and 5 of the paper for the complete story. And below that, on page 6, military, others will stay neutral. CDS vows as INEC distributes materials in Ondo. And $5.5 billion recapitalization calls heighten as vandals destroy 119 electricity towers. Can turn to page 3 of the paper for the complete story. And beside that, on page 7, NHRC reports 427,000 human rights violations in October. Lagos orders revocation of unoccupied housing units. Can turn to page 27 of the paper for the complete story. And on page 28, federal government secures $134 million African Development Bank loan to boost food production. UBA to raise 239.4 billion naira through rights issue. And Atiku advises Tinubu to focus on governance, not 2027. Can turn to page 3 of The Guardian to get the complete story. Away from that, let's take a look at Vanguard, where the border headline says, 2025 budget. FEC okays 47.9 trillion naira. Federal government to borrow 13.8 trillion naira. Can turn to page 5 to get the complete story. And above the nameplate, UBA to raise 239.4 billion naira through rights issue. On food, federal government secures African Development Bank's $134 million loan for farmers. And CDS to DIOs. Tinubu relying on you over national stability and food security. Can turn to page 8 of the paper to get the complete story. On crude, NNPC Limited achieves 1.8 million barrel per day production, targets 2 million barrel per day. You can turn to page 8 for the complete story. To wrap up is the Nigerian Tribune, where the border headline says, Ondo election, military deploys troops, IGP orders tight security. Can turn to page 3 and 24 for the complete story. And above the nameplate on page 7, UBA to raise 239.4 billion naira through rights issue. Beside the picture, NNPCL reaches 1.8 million barrels per day crude oil production. Can turn to page 7 to get the complete story. And below that on page 8, Investment in Securities Bill. CBN warns against new powers proposed for SEC by Senate. UCH still owing 392 million naira electricity bill according to management. Can turn to page 4 to get the complete story. And below that on page 36, 4 deaths in Turkey linked to suspected Lassa fever. And below the picture, FEC approves 47.9 trillion naira 2025 budget, set to borrow 13.8 trillion naira. Can turn to page 8 to get the complete story. And that's the headlines making waves in the Nigerian dailies of today. If any of these headlines caught your attention, do have to get a copy of the paper and read the full story on the identified pages.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing TV Africa, on Twitter, Housing TV Africa, Instagram, Housing TV Africa. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.